Since a century ago, some Malawians have moved to the United Kingdom from Malawi. Malawi is a country that is in the southern part of Africa. This movement of people from Malawi to the United Kingdom has been more influenced by the history of the country, since the country was a colony of Britain from 1891 to 1964. Some of these people that have moved to the UK have settled in the northwest city of Manchester. As the saying goes, east or west, home is best. Most of these Malawians who are now in the UK, especially Manchester, have continued with their Malawian cultural practices. Working under the organization known as the Order of St. Hadrian, and with funding from the UK National Heritage Rotary Fund, we sought to understand the stories of these Malawians living in Manchester by interviewing 30 of them. This is more for the benefit of future generations, especially children born of Malawian parents, as they will know what their roots or parents were practicing or what practices they brought from Malawi.
Ladies first.
Okay. So I'm Rebecca, and I was born in Malawi. I grew up there until about the age of 9, at which point I moved here to Manchester, where I've lived ever since. And my occupation currently is lead QA engineer and product owner.
I'm Yannik. I'm from Rwanda, so I was born in Rwanda and I grew up in Belgium, and I've been in the UK for about 10 years now. Currently I'm a sales consultant for Vodafone.
There are various views in terms of practices on wedding ceremonies and marriages. Interfaith, interracial, intercultural weddings. What are people's views? The Malawians who were interviewed were asked this question: what their opinion are, and what they would advise their children on interfaith, interracial, and intercultural marriages.
For me, the way I see it, I think interracial and intercultural. In the era we live in, I think it's a beautiful thing, because living in the UK, you get so many cultures, so many people coming from different countries, whether that's Africa, whether that's Asia, everywhere. So, like growing up in Europe, growing up in Belgium, you get to experience a lot of different cultures. You meet people at school that you probably wouldn't have met if you were in school in Africa. But you get to meet different people. I remember school, I met with people from Pakistan, people from other countries in Africa, like Congo, like Ivory Coast, like Guinea, some Filipino people. So I think it's a very beautiful thing and interesting thing to kind of mix and get to know each other. And in a way as well, when you grow up, you can find love with different people, especially from your country.
Yeah, I would say that with respect to marriages that are interfaith or intercultural or interracial, I believe that, again, that could be a very beautiful thing, and it's nice. The cultures the weddings that I've been to that have, for example, interracial or cultural kind of like connection, I've found are very, very beautiful in the way that both people kind of like show their identity in that wedding ceremony or in that wedding celebration, and just the warmth of the other family in reciprocating that, and also like being received by the other family. My view is that, you know, it's a very beautiful thing. So with the whole custom, you know, it can make something very nice. So yeah, I guess my opinion is, you know, it's for example, our relationship, we come from two different cultures, in the same continent, fair enough, and racially we are the same, but culturally, we have come from two different backgrounds. That obviously is an aspect of Rwanda and Malawi, as well as Belgium and the UK, because we've had the majority of our lives growing up in two different cultures. So it's, in a sense, you're kind of like bringing four cultures in one, because of our past experiences and how it's framed and structured our identities. And I feel like our cultures complement each other. And there isn't any clashing of customs or traditions or ways of doing things. So I feel like we're able to flow, and we're able to be agile in receiving and reciprocating our various cultures together. Whereas I think that might be harder if it was, for example, myself maybe marrying into a culture that is vastly different to the Malawian or the British culture, just because the differences, I think, would outweigh the similarities, which might make things a bit more difficult. Yeah, so yeah, I'd say that marriage-wise, so far we're doing great. I think that with us, we had a very strong level of communication prior to getting married anyway, so in essence there've not been any surprises since we've been married. It's just been a case of learning each other better, understanding I guess deeper, on a deeper level, the experiences of the other person and what they're bringing onto the plate and into the marriage. But otherwise, it's not been anything that's been alarming or like anything out of the ordinary or too strange to comprehend. So yeah, I'd say that, you know, with respect to multicultural or intercultural relationships, it's always a good idea to scope out the way that they might be when they come together, just to avoid any backlash.
Yeah, I think I agree with you know, with her on the point that our cultures, you know, they do complement each other. But I think what even makes it better, especially for our situation, is, you know, we don't thrive on our cultures. You know, we have our cultures, our respective cultures, but, you know, we don't try to impose those cultures. You know, we thrive more on, I guess, on love, you know, instead of cultures, or faith, you know, instead of cultures. So you know, we are Christian, so, you know, we always put our faith before the cultures, and we always put the love before cultures. So I think that's what make it interesting. And yeah, in terms of the marriage as well, like, you know, like she said, it's been very interesting. I think prior to being together, living together, we did have a good communication structure, and really I think what has happened when we got together, it was more learning each other, our habits, how I like to do things, how she likes to do things, the way she processes things, the way I process things. So it's just been like learning to understand each other and learning each other's movement.
And I guess with regards to the point on the multi-faith, which obviously for us, we've not come from different faiths, so it's again been something that's really helped our bond and our union, in how we like see life and how we see our family life and building it, and then the foundations that we build it on. However, I guess if it was different, personally, I don't think I would have proceeded if we had different faiths, only because that's a strong part, a major part of my identity and how I wish to live out the rest of my life and bring up my children in the same faith. So having, I guess, two directions in the family, you know, both parents going in separate directions or believing in separate things, that can make things hard in like we spoke about last time, child rearing and all of these kind of like ideologies and beliefs that come with different faiths. Even from something as little as how many times you pray in a day, you know, that all differs from faith to faith. Even in the same faith, like, you know, if maybe he was like a Catholic and I was a Protestant, that would have still caused maybe a bit of clash. But I feel like we are on the same faith,
same page,
faith level, so we're able to do things in a harmonized way.
I think for me too, it was important to be on the same side. When I say same side, is, you know, having the same faith, the same ideas, and you know, what we, you know, moving forward with. Now, in terms of other people, obviously I can't say that if you're gonna go with a different faith, if you know, if you are with someone who's got a different faith, you know, it's bad for you. That's not, you know, for me to say, because I know people who have been together, who are still together, and who have different faith, and it worked out for them. So I guess that's just, you know, how you see it. If you see that's gonna work for you, then absolutely do it.
Okay. One of the interesting and exciting narratives that we got when talking to people who participated in the project is when they were asked the question, how did you meet each other? How was that first day when you started courtship like? And a lot of them shared very exciting stories about the start of their journey in a relationship, which some of them they are still in. Here is what they said.
So it's very interesting. So we actually, when people ask me, how did you meet, I always tell them I met her at this wedding, which was her cousin and one of my friend's wedding. But we actually met a year before that, but we didn't talk then.
He didn't talk to me.
So that's not true, but anyway. But yeah, so we met a year prior to the wedding. It was their engagement, and she was coming from Manchester. I was still living in Nottingham then, so she came with her sister, because I knew her sister before I knew her, as she was in uni in Nottingham. So we simply met then. It was just a simple conversation of saying hi, bye, and that was it really. Then the year after, that's when we actually proper met, when we actually proper talked, and when the magic started, I guess.
I'm gonna hit you with my magic. But yeah. Definitely. When we met at the wedding, I actually approached him. He misses that part out every time.
Oh,
but I approached him. So without me, there would never be this greatness. But
anyways.
We after we met initially at the ceremony of the wedding, in the reception part, we actually ended up talking for a good length of time whilst the party was going on, and we were just so engrossed in conversation that we at the end of the night we exchanged contacts, and then I think 3 weeks after that is when we went on our first date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing to add, I positioned myself for her to see me. So I was welcoming people. If I had not been there, she would have never talked to me. So I positioned myself for her to come and talk to me.
Right.
And then, we took it from there.
Very kind. Thank you. Thank you for positioning yourself.
Always a pleasure. So we met, and then 3 weeks after the wedding, like she said, we had our first date. So I came to Manchester. We had our first date, and then we took it from there. She was traveling to come and see me in Nottingham, and me as well. Back and forth for a good 2 years.
I think so.
Yeah, for a good 2 years, and then at some point, we realized this is actually serious, and then I decided to move to Manchester. So that was in 2018, February 2018. I got a job at Vodafone, so I moved to Manchester, and then on that same year around
September.
September. Yeah, so she had planned to go to Malawi because her cousin had a wedding there, and she invited me to go with her. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's meet the family. At the time, I had not made my plans of proposing to her, but I thought to myself, this actually, could be a good thing, because I'm going to meet her family, I'm going to meet her dad, I'm going to meet all the extended family, so it could be a very good setting. So I decided, because I knew I wanted, to marry her, so I decided then to buy the ring. So I bought the ring, we went there, we met all of her family. I met her dad, which was very important for me, because in my culture that's how we do it as well. So you need to speak to the dad and the mom, ask for the blessing. So I spoke with him, sound guy, very nice guy. We clicked straight away. And then after the wedding, we had this like a retreat. We had a little retreat with all of our cousins. We went to this place called Mangochi. So it was just very beautiful, nice lake, good food. We spent about 4 days there, and then on the last night, that's when I decided to propose. Yeah.
It's very beautiful. He always misses out the details. I'll tell you the details. So, on the last night, because I had no idea that he'd spoken to my mom even before we left England, that he'd carried the ring, like he was keeping it, he was locking his suitcase every single time, like even when he goes out to the pool, he'd lock the suitcase. I'd be like, you don't need to do that, like nobody's gonna take it. But obviously I had no idea, and he was like freaking out on the plane because he thought it would set off the metal detectors, so there was a lot of faff about that, but I didn't clock on at all. So yeah, the last night of our time at the beach, he had obviously told everybody that he had intentions to propose, so they all kind of like planned this very nice family meal by the poolside, where we took the table outside, put candles on it. It was very nicely lit, and there was music playing in the background, and we had the chef prepare all the food. So it was very, very nice. He just started by, saying, I want to say something special to somebody. And then he turned to me. At this point, I was thinking, why is he telling me something now? He can just wait later. This is really, really awkward. This is weird. But then the second he started talking, that's when I just realized what was going on. But it was really, really beautiful. And everybody caught like a video of it. And it was really special. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Going through the exercise in the project, talking to Malawians in Manchester about their experience on wedding ceremonies and marriages, and of course opinions we got a lot of advice, and this is what some of them had to say, advising especially young ones who want to get into marriage.
I think is for the guys anyway. I'll speak for the guys. The thing is, if you are with someone, if you've been maybe dating someone, it's been a year, and you see potential. You see her as the way we call it is wifey material. If you see that in her, she's got a potential. You share the same value. You got the same vibes. You click with each other. There's no point waiting. I think you just have to do it. And at the same time, if you are with someone, and that goes with for the ladies as well, if you are with someone and maybe it's not working out, you don't click, or it's not happening, just forget about it, cut it, because the more you stay in that relationship, the more you waste your time for other opportunities or like other chances of meeting the right person. So I just think it's all to do with your with your motives. What do you want out of that relationship? If you know your motives, then you know where you're going.
And I would just to add to that, I guess I would say that to really establish a good level of communication with whoever it is that you are in a relationship with early on, because for me, Yannik was my only serious relationship, like, since entering into the dating world. I didn't date pretty much anybody else past like 3 dates, only because I was very sure about what I wanted. So I'd get the conversation going early on, and if their values, like Yannik said, did not align with mine, their beliefs did not align with mine, I won't waste my time just to have a boyfriend status, or waste their time either, because like Yannik said, there's plenty more fish in the sea, and you just need to go and find the one that's right for you. So even if they are Christian, or they are from your country, or they are from a culture that you click with, sometimes it might not be enough if there's other things that are not in place and that are not right. So I would definitely say that know what you want, and don't be afraid to talk about it with them, and be honest and open, and just make that move earlier rather than later, in terms of whether you're going to proceed and invest your time in there, because a relationship is a lot of investment, emotionally, financially, and just like psychologically as well. So there's got to be a lot of things in place if you're going to be sacrificing all that energy for this person. So I would say that, and I'd say definitely pray about it if you're a faith-based person. We were praying about our relationship very early on and seeking God's direction on what He was saying about our relationship, and we both heard from God that this was from Him, and around about the same time actually, and that's, for me, that gave me a lot of peace and reassurance on proceeding with the relationship and going further and committing to Him, and being in a place ready to for when He proposed to say yes, because I had already got that confirmation like a year back before even He proposed. So I already knew that this was the guy that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with.
Fantastic. Now, some of the people we interviewed gave us general comments about the theme, wedding ceremonies and marriages. And some spelled out the benefits of the project, especially to Malawi heritage. For instance,
I think that heritage is very, very important because I feel like, it forms part of your identity. For me anyways, in my experience, just in terms of knowing where I come from, knowing where my roots lie, knowing how how privileged I am in terms of the progress that I've made in life and how hard I've worked, and also kind of like having a, what do we call it, a sense of belonging as well, in, for example, the community that you find yourself with like people. You find that you might gel with them better, you might understand or be understood better. So I think that heritage is very important, and holding on to that heritage and letting it influence parts of your life is very beneficial.
Yeah, I think heritage is also very important to me. I think for the reason that it's good to know, where you come from. I think living in this country, whether it's in Europe, in the UK, you can lose, a bit of, not lose, but you can lose track of, sometimes where you come from. But I think it's important to know where your roots are from. I remember growing up in Belgium. I used to go to school and speak French and learn in French and do everything in French. But going back home, Mom used always to speak to us in our home language. So things like that. I think that's what made me, made me remember where I came from, my heritage, and obviously, my pride as an African, as a Rwandan. Yeah. Thank you for having us. It's a privilege. I hope this is the first of many, and
Glad to be part of it.